Hey there, welcome to the pod. Today we're gonna check in on our old friend Damian Lillard and the Milwaukee Bucks. They've lost four in a row. They are 3-7 in their last 10, still clinging on to the number 2 seed in the East, but in danger of slipping. A lot of teams bunched up right behind them. Obviously, their season's really going to be decided in the playoffs, how well they do. They had a super disappointing year last year, so they went out and got our boy Damian Lillard. But what him and Giannis are going to be able to do in the playoffs really going to determine how that trade's looked at early on, at least. What do you guys think? Are they competitive? Are they going to give the Celtics or the Heat or whatever else team a run, or is Doc Rivers gonna sink this team? Colton, what do you think?
I'm gonna give you guys some basic numbers here. Under Adrian Griffin, the Bucks had a record of 30 and 13 and he got fired. Under Doc Rivers, the Bucks have a record of 15 and 16. I don't even have to say anything else. Wow.
Why do they
Coaching
do that?
coaching matters a lot. Coaching matters a lot. Doc Rivers is the guy that throws the team bus driver under the bus when he says his equipment staff isn't ready to go. Doc Rivers is a gigantic mistake to hire for your team. That's how I'll say it because wow. I mean, I feel like he's been riding on the coattails of that stacked Boston championship his whole career. What else has he done with stacked teams? Nothing. He is not a good coach.
Blown 3-1 leads.
Blown 3-1 leads. Yeah, he is a bum. So I'm just saying, I can't believe that they even fired Adrian Griffin. There must have been some bad behind the scenes stuff going on. Listen, as a Blazers fan who wanted the Dame Giannis pairing in Portland, I can't believe they're in danger of falling to the sixth seed. I think if they lose home court in the playoffs, there's going to be some bad blood and vibes because they've been the second seed for a long time. If they just slide into the playoffs as like the fifth or sixth seed and they have road, there's going to be some bad vibes, and I think that they could get knocked out in the first round, which I never would have said is possible looking at their roster starting at the beginning of the season. So I am very interested in the playoffs. I'm going to be glued to the Bucks. They're going to be my stand-in for the Blazers, and while I don't like Giannis crash into your arms ball like we've started to see more and more of, I'm still going to be glued because I want Dame to, you know, I want to see what he can do in the
Are
playoffs.
you gonna be
I'm not
rooting
going to
for him, do
say
you think?
we'll see how I feel. If he hits a buzzer beater, we'll see how my heart feels. If am I going to get a rise out of it, or am I going to be sad or indifferent? We'll see. But I'm going to be watching every game no matter what. A famous bowler, Pete Weber, once said, "Even if you hated me, you still watched." Right? Like, come on.
Yeah, it's
Who do you think you are? I am.
I know it's gonna make me very sad to watch Damian Lillard play in the playoffs in a different jersey. I don't have to suppose and wonder about how I'm gonna feel. But I do think that I'm gonna feel a little bit bad for him if things go poorly too. I don't hate the guy, I miss you. But I think there's a good chance that under the leadership of Glenn Rivers, Milwaukee really does fall from second to like fifth place. I think that there's a good chance that that happens in their last 5 or 6 games that they have left. It's getting really close to the end of the season. They don't have a whole lot of opportunities to do right. And at the rate that they're losing, even if they win the next one or two and then lose two or three in a row, depending on how New York and Cleveland play, that it might be out of their hands at some point pretty soon. They might not be in charge of their own destiny anymore. And if they end up in that first round, like in the fourth or fifth spot, playing Indiana, Cleveland, New York, Philadelphia, it's going to be like somewhere in there. I think that there's a chance without home court advantage. I agree. I think that they could be in trouble. Um, Glenn Rivers is not a good coach of NBA basketball. I think we're all in agreement there. It was shocking. I mean, it's hard to second guess the firing of Adrian Griffin because we just don't really know what happened. It must have been pretty bad. So maybe he had to go.
He
But
bitched out Stotts,
yeah, it was
our
weird.
boy.
Seems like a weird guy, honestly. So maybe he wasn't the right fit. But what are you remedying by bringing in Glenn Rivers? You knew you were going to make it worse. Unless you have like some very specific personality thing that you think he's going to be able to help with, I just don't get the move at all, and it is not paying off for him.
Started off the season with Adrian Griffin and Terry Stotts and ending it with Doc Rivers. That's a rough coaching year for this team. I already know how I'm gonna feel going into the playoffs. I'm gonna be rooting hard against the Bucks. I don't know what's wrong with me,
Oh.
but I know for a fact I can't decide it. It's not a conscious decision. I already know I'm gonna be rooting against them. Same thing with CJ. As soon as he left, rooted against him.
Break it down for me. What's the reasoning? What's your thought
Like I
process?
said, it's not a logical thing. It's like an emotional thing. And I don't know. I kind of stopped liking Dame after he left. Some of the ways in which he dealt with the team. I guess I'm a hater. Maybe it just need time or something. I'm not really that caught up in it, like really pissed or anything. No, like real strong negative emotions. I just don't really like that team very much, just particularly Doc Rivers. Just sort of rooting for failure from them. I also kind of like Boston, which I know is a controversial statement, Colton in particular. But with the Bucks, to be honest with you, I don't think it really boils down to Giannis or Dame. The decisive factor if that team's going to be competitive is Chris Middleton, and I do not have faith in that guy right now. He's just so banged up. It seems like the last 2 or 3 seasons he's just not been able to put up a consistent stretch of games. He was the X factor in their championship run, at least one of them. Obviously, they had Drew Holiday there too, which leads me to another point I have, which did they trade Drew Holiday a better point guard for Damian Lillard a worse point guard? Obviously, Dame can shoot from the logo and he can hit the big shots, the clutch shots. He can tap the wrist. He's flashy. He's got the sponsorships. He's got the commercials. But Drew Holiday is just quietly winning. That dude is just stacking up W after W anywhere he goes for the last several years. I think that there's a chance that if they end up matched up in the playoffs, Drew Holiday is going to do exactly to Dame what he did to him several years past. He might completely lock him up.
Drew Holiday is the Dame stopper. Let's just say it in Portland. We've seen it. That guy, no, that matchup was pretty interesting because you had Anthony Davis and Drew Holiday trapping Dame. That's pretty tough stuff.
Boston's got a lot of defense,
That's what I was
though.
gonna
They
say.
got a bunch of
Boston's got a lot
size.
too, and
Porzingis, Horford.
yeah, so that'll be tough if they do match up. What I'm excited to see and what matchup I hope happens, maybe even in the first round, like let's say they fall to 4. I hope the Indiana Pacers are sitting there matched up with the Boston, or with not the Boston, with the Milwaukee Bucks because game ball gate and the in-season tournament or
What was that again?
the mid-season tournament.
Oh yeah, when Giannis stole the ball. That's right.
Indiana beat Milwaukee in the in-season tournament, and then game ball gate happened, and everyone was salty about that. They played each other a ton in a matter of a couple weeks. I want to see it. I want to see Tyrese Halliburton versus Dame. Let's see if the Pacers can bring some fight, but that's the matchup I hope to see if they do fall because there's going to be some fireworks there.
I don't think there's any way that we see Milwaukee and Boston play in the playoffs against each other this year because I think Milwaukee's out in the first or second round at best.
I
Yeah.
could see them advancing. I could see them advancing to the Eastern Conference Finals. I could see them getting eliminated in the first round. Honestly, anything, because who knows with Doc Rivers, even when you have a 3-1 lead, you're never safe. He's the curse. Like you're never gonna feel safe in a series. And I think that mentality will seep in no matter what round you're in.
They're definitely the biggest question mark just because you've never seen Dame and Giannis before in a playoff series. Those guys, they still seem to be getting used to each other. The health, as I mentioned, is a factor with Middleton. Just if he's there and able to play like 30 or 35 minutes, then this team looks real deadly all of a sudden. I mean, that guy is no joke. Um, they've got Beverly out right now, which is just add that to the list of reasons why I don't think I'll be rooting for this team. They kind of remind
Prediction.
me of
Go ahead. But I
go.
have a prediction. My prediction is that Doc Rivers is about to add another 3-1 collapse to his resume because
And
I
he'll be
think that
fired, right?
I think so. I think that this team is sort of set up for that because they could come out of the gate pretty good because Dame is an amazing scorer. Giannis can score. Giannis can play defense. But if someone gets banged up a little bit, or if someone's not playing, and then the other team in a long series starts to scheme for Dame, like we as Blazer fans have seen many, many times, where they realize like, oh, we just have to meet him at half court. If you meet him at half court with two bodies, you like take him out of the game, unless he has a lot of help. I don't think they have a lot of help for him.
You shouldn't be able to do that with a Dame Giannis pick and roll. That was what we were saying. If Giannis is the one setting the screen up high, if they trap Dame and Dame gets the ball to Giannis running downhill, it should be a cheat code, and that's why Doc Rivers is a bum. How that's not the only play in their playbook that they run every time down is astounding to me because it should be free points.
3-1 collapse. It's coming.
Yeah, I want what would they have to do for Rivers not to be get shit canned this year? It seems
Eastern
like he's in
Conference
a
Finals, I think he stays.
you think so? Boy, I don't know.
That's
To,
probably right for the first year with Dame. That's probably right.
even after a terrible regular season and yeah, I don't know.
If they're your Final Four team, you don't usually fire a coach.
I sort of feel like it was a bad decision for him to take this gig, maybe. I don't know, maybe not. That's you're getting two all-stars, an MVP, a team that won a championship a few years ago. You take that job, I guess, but he's just kind of in a it's just a high pressure situation, I guess, and he's kind of flamed out of a lot of high pressure situations before with MVPs and teams that really should, be championship contenders. So I think maybe out of anybody on that squad, he's facing the most pressure to get it done. Obviously, Dame and Giannis will be there next year, regardless of how well they do. So I don't know. What do you guys think? It's like you said, if it could be a first round exit, it could be could they win a championship? Is there any chance?
There is a chance. I think there's a chance. I don't think it's like less than 1% or anything. I mean, you got MVP, you got Dame, who Riley said has been ready this whole time, and now he's got an MVP teammate. I mean, I think it's possible, but the rest of the squad has to come to play. Brooke Lopez has to have a big playoffs for the team to excel. You know, he's a huge X factor when Middleton's out, even when
Bobby,
Middleton's in. Bobby's got to be big. Pat Connaughton,
he might be that one of the X Factor, like as big as Middleton, Bobby Portis. He's gonna have to show up big because when he
100%.
does when he does come to play, they're a totally different team, and he gets the crowd riled up, and that that could be a big factor of whether or not they have home court advantage too. Is how well Bobby plays and how much he's able to get the crowd involved.
We'll see what
Yeah,
happens.
there's still enough questions at this point. I think it's really hard to know what their chances are. Where they finish in the regular season standings is probably going to play a role. What their matchups look like moving forward, and if they end in second, they might have a fairly easy first couple of rounds to step through. Then maybe
Are the
they can
Heat
build some
lurking down there?
momentum.
Yeah, you
What?
got Jimmy.
Is the
Yeah,
Heat lurking down at the 7th seed or around there?
I think they're
they're
eighth
eight.
seed right now. Yeah.
They're eight right now, but
What
yeah.
if you got that first round matchup? That'd be wild. Repeat that.
Oh man, and with the added controversy of Dame wanting to go to Miami, and
Yeah.
that would be big too. Yeah, that's a good one.
How do you think this is a little bit of a change of topic, but well, first of all, I wanted to say Milwaukee's supporting cast just doesn't seem as good as they have in years past, which is kind of bizarre because I can't think of any like major piece they've lost. It seems like all the main dudes are still there. They got Patty, they got Bobby. Isn't Crowder still there? Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, he is. Um, but yeah, after that it does get pretty thin. I guess you got
I mean,
Danilo Gallinari
Beverly.
sitting down there, but yeah, Beverly. But I don't know. What has he ever really been on like a deep run, deep playoff run? Legitimate question. I don't know.
With the Clippers, was he when they went to the Western Conference Finals? No, maybe not.
Once they blown
He switched
3-1
teams so
leads.
many times. Maybe that
Yeah.
was when he was on the the play-in banner champion Minnesota Timber Pups. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of a change of pace, but I just wonder like what would Damon Miami look like this year? You got Spolstra there, that might be the biggest difference. You got an actual coach in there, reining it in. Him and Jimmy, we talked about that many times, how much we wanted to see that in Portland. Bam, you think that team would be up in that kind of 2 or 3 seed position? They obviously had a rough start to the season because they're just relying on getting Dame for the whole offseason. Didn't really do much. Let a lot of those guys that were contributing last year walk. So what would that team look like, do you think, quickly?
I think that would have been a pretty formidable team. I think that the pieces around the two superstars might actually be a little bit better, but it definitely depends on what else they were able to do. Like once they had secured Damian Lillard, if they had been able to then go out and start building some pieces around that, say like, hey, we're a championship ready team, we got to bring in some veterans, some veteran minimum guys, that kind of thing. That team definitely could have made a run because I think that Dame and Jimmy is arguably even a better pairing than Dame and Giannis. And
Dame
they
and
have
Bam might be.
one of the best coaches of all time. So yeah, I mean, I think that would have been a formidable team. Probably a better fit for Dame than he's had so far in Milwaukee, especially with the coaching struggles.
You never know because Miami is the most hard to understand team. I mean, I know how they play and what they are, like hard-nosed team, but they're hard to understand in terms that they can just turn it off and on. That's why they're always coming in as a low seed and yet still giving other teams hell, right? Like they could have coasted this whole season even with Dame and then turned it on in the playoffs and said this is how we do things here. But definitely would have been interesting. And it is always interesting when you're one of those glamour markets and you can just say, hey, give me your best player, and I'm not going to give away either of my top 5 players,
Until it didn't work this summer.
until it didn't work. But that's my point. That if they would have got it for, Jovic and couple firsts and
Hero.
their hero is the salary, yeah, they'd be swimming. But if they had to give up JJJ, Triple J, it might have been different. So
Hey me Hazquez. Is that your time?
yes. So I don't know. They would have been lights out, obviously, as well. But they didn't get Dame, so go cry, Heat fans.
It's a moot point.
Go
Yeah.
cry.
What last question quickly, we have just a few minutes left here, but what team do you what team do you resent more? The Heat for demanding Lillard and giving nothing up, or the Bucks for getting him?
Screw the Heat fans. Drink more Florida water. Let your brain rot more, because
The iguanas are just
those guys.
tearing their shit
Those
up.
guys do not understand ball, and they don't understand the concept of fair value, and they understand a lot of things. So I would say I resent the Heat fans far more than
Would we have ended up getting a better deal though, getting Tyler Hero instead of Aiton?
no.
Riley?
I wish that I could just disagree for the sake of giving us something to disagree about. But yeah, no, the comments that we saw on our videos from Heat fans demanding Damian Lillard for nothing it's just delusional. And it was proven to them that they were delusional, and that's the only good thing that came out of the Damian Lillard trade so far.
Hero would have been better than Aiton. You heard it here first. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
We got to do a video about that. Bye.